You've worked for 40 years, paid into Social Security every single paycheck, and now you're looking forward to retirement. But what if I told you that a new federal budget proposal could slash your benefits by thousands of dollars every year? What if the safety net you've been counting on is about to have massive holes torn right through it? This isn't some distant threat. We're talking about this could happen sooner than you think, and it could affect millions of Americans who are already struggling to make ends meet. Before we dive deep into exactly what's being proposed and how it could devastate your financial future, make sure you hit that subscribe button and ring the notification bell. This is the kind of information that could literally save you thousands of dollars, and you don't want to miss our upcoming videos where we'll show you exactly how to protect yourself from these potential cuts. The reality is that Social Security has been walking a financial tightrope for years, and now politicians are talking about making cuts that would fundamentally change how the program works. But here's what's really troubling: most Americans have no idea what's actually being proposed or how it could impact their daily lives. Are you one of the millions who could see your monthly check reduced by hundreds of dollars? Are you prepared for the possibility that your cost of living adjustments could be completely eliminated? Let's start with the most shocking proposal that's currently being discussed in Washington. Congressional budget hawks are pushing for what they call means testing for Social Security benefits. What does this actually mean for you? Instead of receiving benefits based on what you paid into the system over your working years, your benefits would be reduced or eliminated entirely based on your other sources of income or assets. Think you're safe because you're not wealthy? Think again. The income thresholds being proposed are much lower than most people expect, and they could affect middle-class retirees who simply saved responsibly for their golden years. But the means testing proposal is just the beginning of what could be a complete overhaul of the Social Security system. Another proposal gaining traction would gradually raise the full retirement age from 67 to 69 or even 70. What does this mean in practical terms? If you're currently 50 years old and planning to retire at 67, you might have to work an additional 2 or 3 years to receive your full benefits. And if you can't work those extra years due to health issues or job market realities, you'd face permanently reduced benefits for the rest of your life. Here's where it gets even more concerning for current retirees and those approaching retirement. The proposals don't just affect future beneficiaries, they could impact people who are already receiving Social Security or are about to start receiving it. One of the most alarming suggestions involves changing how cost of living adjustments are calculated. Instead of using the current inflation measure that somewhat reflects what seniors actually spend their money on, the new calculation would use a different index that typically rises more slowly. What does this mean for your purchasing power? Over time, your Social Security benefits would buy less and less, effectively creating a stealth cut that compounds year after year. The disability insurance component of Social Security could face even more dramatic changes. Current proposals suggest tightening eligibility requirements and increasing the frequency of disability reviews. If you're currently receiving disability benefits or think you might need them in the future, you could find yourself facing more bureaucratic hurdles and potentially losing benefits you're legally entitled to receive. The question isn't whether you deserve these benefits, it's whether you'll be able to navigate an increasingly complex system designed to deny claims. But what's driving these proposed cuts, and why are they happening now? The trustees of Social Security have been warning for years that the trust fund reserves are projected to be depleted by 2034. When that happens, incoming payroll taxes would only be sufficient to pay about 80% of scheduled benefits. Politicians are using this looming shortfall to justify making cuts now, rather than exploring other solutions that could preserve benefits while ensuring the program's long-term sustainability. What they're not telling you is that there are alternative solutions that wouldn't require cutting benefits for people who desperately need them. The Social Security payroll tax currently only applies to the first $160,200 of earnings in 2023. What if that cap were lifted or raised significantly? Wealthy Americans would pay more into the system, but they'd also eventually receive higher benefits. Another option would be to slightly increase the payroll tax rate for everyone, spreading the burden across all workers rather than concentrating the pain on retirees and disabled individuals. The political reality is that Social Security cuts are extremely unpopular with voters, which is why politicians often discuss them in technical terms that obscure their real impact. They'll talk about adjusting the benefit formula or modernizing the program, but what they really mean is that millions of Americans will receive smaller checks. Are you prepared for the possibility that your monthly Social Security payment could be reduced by 10, 20, or even 30%? Have you calculated how such cuts would affect your ability to pay for housing, healthcare, and basic necessities? The timing of these proposals is particularly cruel given the economic challenges that older Americans are already facing. Healthcare costs continue to rise faster than general inflation, housing has become increasingly unaffordable even for people on fixed incomes, and many seniors are already choosing between prescription medications and groceries. Adding Social Security cuts to this mix could push millions of elderly Americans into poverty or force adult children to support parents who should be able to support themselves. What makes this situation even more frustrating is that Social Security is not some government handout, it's a program that workers pay into throughout their careers with the promise that they'll receive benefits when they retire or become disabled. These aren't entitlements in the sense of free government benefits, they're earned benefits that workers have literally paid for through decades of payroll deductions. When politicians talk about cutting Social Security to reduce government spending, they're essentially talking about breaking a promise that the government has made to working Americans for nearly 90 years. The question you need to ask yourself is this: what are you going to do to protect your financial future if these cuts become reality? Hoping that politicians will do the right thing isn't a strategy, it's wishful thinking. You need to start planning now for the possibility that your Social Security benefits could be significantly reduced. This might mean working longer than you planned, saving more aggressively, or exploring alternative income sources for your retirement years. The bottom line is that massive changes to Social Security are being discussed right now in Washington, and these changes could have a devastating impact on your financial security. The proposals being floated would affect millions of Americans who can least afford to lose income, and the cuts could be implemented much sooner than most people realize. Don't let yourself be caught off guard by changes that could cost you thousands of dollars every year. If this video opened your eyes to the threats facing Social Security, make sure you subscribe to our channel for more crucial financial information that could protect your future. Share this video with your friends and family members who need to know about these proposed cuts, and leave a comment below telling us how Social Security cuts would affect your life. Your financial future depends on staying informed about these critical issues, so don't let this be the last video you watch about protecting your retirement security.